So if you've seen my previous video, which I'll link to in the description below, on why I finally decided to open a bank account here in Mexico, you know that I started this process back in August of this year. This was after my issues with the RappiPay service, which if you want to know more about what those issues were, watch this video right here. I'll also link to it in the description. But after more than 2 years of not having a bank account here in Mexico and using the Wise solution, I pressed forward with opening an account. Now, I fully expected there to be red tape and processes and procedures that would be foreign to me, but I didn't expect it to be more than 90 days, 6 visits, and finally needing to switch banks before I was able to open an account and deposit money into that account. So here's the story of what happened. So I went to the first bank, which we will simply call Bank A, in August of this year. I spoke with the English-speaking bank associate who processed my application and opened the account for me. I left that day with a debit card and the ability to access my account online. However, I was told that they physically needed to verify my address, and that would take between 2 and 12 days to do so. So I was prepared to wait for the 12 days before someone would come to my house, ring the bell, and ask if I lived there. Strange, but okay, I'll play along. No big deal. I wasn't in a rush to open an account. To my surprise, verification happened in just 2 days rather than 12. So at this point, I figured, you know what? It must be okay for me to go and deposit money into the bank account. So I waited for 4 days, and then I went to make my first deposit. After waiting about 30 minutes, the guy who opened my account, the English-speaking associate, came out and said, you know what? He has the verification in his system, but he doesn't have approval from corporate in order for me to be able to put money into the bank. Now, I wasn't really freaked out about this. I thought it was a little strange and said, okay, no big deal. But he informed me that he would email me just as soon as he had approval, which should take no more than 7 days from that point. Never heard from the guy. After about 3 weeks, I went back to the bank and explained to someone like, hey, I need to check on my account. I would like to make a deposit. So went back in, they waited. They said, nope, you don't have approval yet to make a deposit. Come back, we'll email you when you're ready. All right, so then I went back, I waited another month and went back, still couldn't put money into the bank. So now we're up until, the end of October. I went back and spoke to an associate in Spanish because I wanted to get answers to what was going on. So I explained to the lady in Spanish, hey, I opened an account here back in July. I got my debit card. I have everything that I need. I just need approval so I can make this first deposit, which they told me needed to be in efectivo, which is cash. So I needed to be able to make the first deposit in cash, and after that, I could transfer money into this account. All right, so the lady looks at me. She types on the computer. She goes away. She comes back. She types some more on the computer, and then she says, did you open your account here? Yes, I just told you I have the card, I have everything. I opened the account right in that office over there. What is the deal? So then she went away and spoke to the manager. She was gone for about 10 to 15 minutes speaking to the manager. When she came back, she says, oh, we see your account, we have your information, but somehow we don't have your passport. At this point, I'm extremely frustrated. I just shook my head. I said, look, the next time I come in to bring my passport, we need to get this resolved. So fast forward to, it's now November, right? And so I decided, you know what? Instead of me jerking around with them and going back and taking my passport and then waiting 4 or 5 more days for them to figure out if I can deposit money, let me try another bank, which was always in my original plan. So I proceeded to go and try Bank B, which I had heard a lot about from the forums and different groups, as a bank that was easy to open an account for residents, as well as a bank that had a really good online application, which, for me, I do most of my stuff online anyway, having used mostly the Wise app and the Rappi card up until this point. Equipped with the utility bill I used when I opened my last account at the other bank, Bank A, my passport, my rental contract, and my residency card, I went to Bank B to open an account. Now this time the process was all in Spanish, and the gentleman that looked over my documents got to the point, he said, hey, we see you have everything. We don't need your rental contract. We simply need a utility showing where you're at. And this is a big, important tip for you guys. Having an electric bill is an important piece of documentation to verify where you live. So he said, we see your electric bill, but we cannot use this bill because it's more than 90 days past, because it was, again, from July, from when I tried to open, it was the bill that I used when I opened the other account. So I said, no problem. I left and returned 10 minutes later with the most current bill that I had. And this time, a lady associated helped me with opening the account. Now, she explained the options for the accounts that I had and all of those things. She began the process of opening the account. 2 hours later, multiple fingerprints. I had to fingerprint this hand. I had to fingerprint that hand. I had to fingerprint both thumbs. It was crazy. I had to do a bunch of electronic signatures, and then she brought out all the papers that we had signed electronically for me to do wet signatures and sign them on the paper itself. 20 million signatures electronically and wet, and then fingerprints and all of those things. We were able to open an account. She actually escorted me to the counter. We made the first deposit into the account. We went back to her desk. She helped me download the application. She got me logged in with the temporary password and all of that information. And then she was actually going to go and help me change the PIN at the ATM machine. From that point, I actually had it. So I told her, I'm good. No, thank you. I'll go and change the PIN. I actually made a deposit into the ATM machine. I was able to change the PIN. And that very same day, I was able to do an electronic transfer into the application and see that everything worked. So 2.5 hours later, I was completely set up on the same day with Bank B and out of the bank. So that was a very different experience than going to Bank A 4 or 5 different times. And in fact, I would probably simply just cancel Bank A altogether. If they couldn't figure out how to onboard a new customer and allow me to deposit money in the bank in the first place, I have no idea what they're gonna do if there's an issue with my money in that bank. So at this point, based on their incompetence, I don't think I wanna actually, I know I'm not gonna bank with Bank A. I may open a second account with another bank, but it won't be Bank A for sure. So after 2.5 years, why open an account at all, right? So the reason to open an account here in Mexico is that it allows you to establish Mexican credit. Now, why is that important? My US credit score has no bearing on anything financial here in Mexico, meaning my great credit score back home doesn't give me the ability to finance a car, get a credit card, or any of those things here in Mexico. But one day I may want to get a Mexican credit card or finance that new Tesla, or simply just keep my pesos working for me while I'm borrowing money here in Mexico. Also, I've seen specials, particularly from Bank B, the one that I'm using, that offer discounts when using their card. So it would be nice to have access to those deals since I'm here for the long haul. It takes about 6 months of deposits to be eligible for a Mexican credit card with your bank. So I'll keep you posted when I have one and let you know exactly how that process went. Secondly, there are times you simply can't use a US credit card either online or in some stores. Two of the sites that I know for sure that has issues with using a US credit card are the Audio Bus site as well as Aeromexico. Just be aware that if you go to the Audio site or Aeromexico, you may run into problems using a US credit card. Just last week, I went to pay my most recent CFE electric bill, and I put in my Wise card, WorldPay card, which is a MasterCard, and when it got to the end of the process, it said we need a US or we need a Mexican MasterCard, Mexican issued MasterCard in order to complete this transaction. So it wouldn't let me use my US issued MasterCard to pay my electric bill. So again, it's good to have a card, a debit card that's issued here in Mexico to satisfy those issues. Finally, since this is such a cash-based society, withdrawing large sums of pesos each month can take many, many days in some cases. So what I typically do is I'll start a couple of days before the end of the month or before the beginning of the month and just start taking out pesos every day, which is a bit tedious. Well, now that I have a Mexican bank account, I don't have to do that. I can simply go to the teller, tell them what I need, give them my card, and withdraw as many pesos as I want. So that's another way, that's another reason for having a bank account in Mexico. Also, I'm able to transfer money easily between bank to bank or bank to businesses, or even have people transfer money to my account using my Mexican clave. With the Wise service, I could transfer money to people, but if I needed a refund or they needed to give me my money back, I had a situation where I double paid for a tea time at the golf course, and they couldn't simply send me my money back because I sent it via Wise and I didn't have a clave on my Wise account. So in order now, since I have a clave, which is basically a Mexican bank routing and account number, I can have that money sent back to my bank account. If there's ever an issue where I overpay something, I'm charged too much or whatever, they can simply refund it back to my bank account. Moving money around and just withdrawing large sums of money is a third reason you may want to have a bank account in Mexico. Well, I hope this video demystified banking in Mexico, and I hope you have a better experience if you go to open a bank account here in Merida. If you want to know more about how to get the best exchange rate or how to avoid being scammed at the ATM, check out the playlist right here. Until next time, MexitPlans Monty, I'm out.